Hey, what's up, Greekvolution? The Wonder Woman film is finally out, and I have to tell you, as a Wonder Woman fan, I am one of many people who thought it took way too long for this movie to come out. Matter of fact, hey, remember a few years ago when we were all complaining about the fact that Marvel was able to get a movie with Rocket Raccoon in it before DC and Warner Brothers got a Wonder Woman film, one of the most important characters, one of the Trinity, one of the three most important icons of their line, and they were like, well, that Catwoman film we made like years ago didn't do so well, so, we gotta punish every female character. Well, hey, finally, it's done. Finally, it's out. Even though it's taken so long to get to this point, I have to admit, the timing of this feels just about perfect. The film is directed and co-written by Patty Jenkins. It stars Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Chris Pine as Steve Trevor. We also have Connie Nielsen as Queen Hippolyta, Robin Wright, Danny Houston, David Thewlis, and also as, Dr. Poison. You think I'd remember that name? That's a pretty easy supervillain name. Dr. Poison. I think that's Alina Anya. And what we have going on is the origin. We get a flashback of sorts. We open up this framing device where she is working at her day job at the museum in Paris. Pretty much, I think that was connected with the Batman-Superman film. And she gets finally a print of the picture from the Batman-Superman Justice League preview scene. And it kind of starts her thinking about the whole events of her origin. So that's the way we spend the rest of the film, and I'm beginning to wonder, maybe the film had just been first. Maybe this should have been first. Since it comes in first. Because essentially, one of the things I think about with Captain America is, Steve Rogers' Captain America was introduced in his film. It wasn't introduced in anybody else's film, then we flash back to it. So there's a little bit higher level danger for the character, even though we'll know he appears in the other films. This is the first film we see him in, and we naturally kind of fear a little bit more. And also, this would set a better tone, frankly. I'll get into that. I'm getting a little bit off kilter here. So we go into the origin, and it's pretty much the same kind of origin. Steve Trevor crashes on Themyscira. He tells her about what's going on, and she goes, maybe I should help out. And Queen Hippolyta is going, no, you shouldn't. And then she goes. That's pretty much the same. We cut the contest out, probably for time. We probably don't really have a whole time for it. And then we go into the war. We go right into it. We don't even spend any time in the U.S. We go right to London. We go to Belgium. We fight in the no man's land trenches. And then, of course, after hearing the story all her life about Ares and the fact that the Amazons were meant to always, protect humankind from him, she assumes, okay, this general guy, played by Danny Houston, he totally Ares. So that sets her mission. And she is focused on, I gotta kill this guy with this sword. And, well, as always, things don't always go the way you plan them to be. In a word, I thought this film was, what's a descriptive word? Amazing, fantastic, super, uncanny, it'll come to me. Wonderful, I think it's wonderful. This is easy the best of the 4 DCEU films. Although, granted, that's a low bar. That's like when you go to a stand-up comedy night and the first 3 comics are just terrible, and that one person can put together a joke decently. You go, wow, this person's really funny. Kind of the same thing here. It has focus. You get to be properly introduced to your characters, and you understand their actual human motivations and how they relate to other human beings. It's kind of amazing. I loved this movie, and for me, as a Wonder Woman fan, and as someone who has heard people kind of marginalize the character forever, it's really nice that this is the character. This is the movie that does it. the performances are really good. I've been hearing people complain about Gal Gadot's performances up until now, like people saying, "Yeah, she's not a good actress," blah blah blah. Well, that's because she hasn't had a scene that is worth acting in. This film gives her plenty of different kind of emotions to deal with, different kinds of scenes and settings. She starts out as a real wide-eyed innocent, and she gets more and more serious as the situations, increase and with the intensity, and she does these with really nice subtlety too. Like she does have this kind of wide-eyed innocence and curiosity, but it's not like over the top at all, and it's very well done. And when she like focuses in on kicking ass, boy, she's right there, and it's believable. Excellent performance by her. Also, and I gotta say, Chris Pine, who I enjoy a lot. I've enjoyed him a lot in several other films. I really dig him as Kirk. And as soon as I heard he was playing Steve Trevor, that was one of the signs that, okay, this film might be pretty good. I heard about it was going to be set in World War I, which I thought was a cool idea. Chris Pine was cast. Patty Jenkins was assigned as the director. So I was getting kind of optimistic for this. I know a lot of people, by the time Suicide Squad came out, they were like, okay, we need to change the ship around or start over or whatever. But I don't know. All these bits of information I was getting had me pretty positive. And their chemistry is wonderful. They play off each other so well. He is wonderfully deadpan. God, he's so great. It's because, well, his life is saved, and he is a really open-minded kind of man. You got to think, this is World War I era, so he obviously has been raised in the era of the women's suffrage movement, and he is at least open-minded enough. And after seeing Wonder Woman and the Amazons in action, he's like, you know what? Okay, there's no dude bro crap, or at least the the World War I equivalent of dude bro crap. He doesn't give us any of that, and I really enjoy it. And this film acts like adults. Like we have characters like discuss the idea of Ares, the god of war, actually existing, and they're going, well, we just saw Wonder Woman beat the crap out of a tower, so you know what? Maybe this might be a thing. I enjoyed that kind of like maturity in the writing. And also, there are plenty of scenes where Diana and Steve argue, and they sound like actual reasonable arguments. Like, when she talks about, like, how can you be so careless about people in the trenches, people fighting for you? These are people. And there are also moments where, Steve Trevor is telling her, look, we got to get to this thing. I know people around us are suffering, but there'll be less suffering if we get to do our job. And oh boy, I'm really, really excited. It's been a while since I've been this excited over well, first off, a DC film. I gotta say, like, Dark Knight, this is easily the best DC film since Dark Knight. And as far as Marvel films can be good, and then there are ones like, have me all excited and want to talk about the Marvel film all day. Maybe the most recent Guardians or the Cap Civil War one. Or I know a lot of people beat up on First Avenger, but I love First Avenger, and I was really excited when I first saw that film, and I'm kind of getting that sense. This film, I think there's been some comparisons to this to the original Superman Christopher Reeve film, which to me I think is if you're going to do a superhero origin film, that's a good blueprint to use. That's kind of the gold standard. But there are also like bits of, yes, the first Avenger film with Captain America, and also the first Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi Spider-Man. And that's the original point I made in this review, is the timing of this. And you see, this film, a lot of people had a lot of like tension and pressure building up to it. Of course, mentioned the fact that the DCEU was kind of losing its street cred with fans. Even the diehard believables that just won't let it go, and then the casual movie fans and comic fans were going, don't know if we're going in the right direction here. And also fans of female-led superhero films. You know, this was kind of, well, Wonder Woman is the gold standard on that. And we have to get this right. And not to mention, I have to say, like, since the election, I've just noticed, and I talk to women, and I listen to women talk, a lot of women feel like they have really been kind of pushed into a corner by, you know, of course, the president and, you know, all the supporters, and there just seems to be a hostility out there, and it just seems to have increased in the last few years recently towards women and art, towards women creating art and characters that have, you know, like any kind of gender politics to it. And I keep thinking about the Spider-Man movie and the fact that one of the things that people were talking about when Spider-Man came out in theaters was that was a few months after 9/11, and people had felt really kind of terrorized and pressured, and Spider-Man comes out, and it's about a guy protecting New York from an evil, crazy terrorist, and when he's in trouble, you know, everyday New Yorkers help him out. You know, a lot of people kind of joke on, like, the, you know, you're one of us, and, you know, every one of us, and it's kind of, you know, seen like that. But that meant a lot to people. And I really do feel that this film, it just, I listen to, not just simply fans or male fans, I mean, I've really listened to female fans talk about this, and it gets them emotional. And this was very important to them. And it was important to me. I cried several times, and this is the first DC EU film that has made me cry on purpose. You know, I was supposed to cry at this film, and it made me laugh when I was supposed to. It's a really, it's such a well done piece of work, and it doesn't worry about stupid continuity. That's one of the things. Like, look, I enjoy continuity when it comes, or like tidbits or geek stuff. I care about, like, that scene where Hippolyta is saying goodbye to Diana and she doesn't know if she's going to see her again, and she has a tremble in her voice. That is why I see movies. That is why I enjoy superheroes. Superheroes that, you know, can take everyday situations and save the day and make you feel like we can stand up against evil and tyranny. And, you know, that's the scene where, you know, she goes into the no man's land trenches and stands up, and that's why I love this stuff, and this excels at all of that. I enjoyed this film immensely. Let's see, if I don't want to really talk too much about the villains in the film, as that's become a normal complaint, is, you know, not enough time for the villains. I'm not mandatory on that stuff, so I was invested with the characters as they were. So I really don't have too much to complain about that unless I get into spoiler territory. I will probably do a spoiler review with the Geekvolution cast as a spoiler cast. So I'll talk about more of that stuff, like, specifically, I guess. I'm all in on this film. I'll probably see it again. I really loved it. Thank God this happened. I'm very happy. Because, you know, there's some people who, like, you know, get mad at, you know, critics, like, you know, like me and some of the Geekvolution people. Like, you want the DC films to fail. Like, no, I don't want the DC films to fail. I love these characters. I love Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. I love them. I want them to be done correctly, or at least in the spirit of what they should be. And Diana's a hero, and she's someone I look up to, and this film does that. This film feels like a DC film, and it does it well, and I am just overjoyed, actually. I'm very happy about it. If you've been kind of, like, hesitant about this, don't be. Just go see it. I highly recommend this. I'm going to give it 5 Ram Chips out of 5. So what did you, the viewers at home, think? Leave a comment below, talk about it, and I'll be seeing you next time. Push the button, Lindsay.
the song on the radio. They don't show that it's on the radio.